name is Joe Ferreira, and I'm from Folsom, California. When I was in college, I did come out to my parents, but then after that, I lost all momentum. I never really came out to my younger brother, never came out to my extended family at all. And also, I was in college in a small town. Like, there wasn't a lot of like gay stuff in my life. I didn't have any boyfriends. Like, there was no like queer life I was living. Cut to moving to New York City. Suddenly you're in the thick of it all. I am going on dates, I have boyfriends, I'm learning, who I am and what I'm into, and like all of a sudden like this gay world just like blossomed, and I was living this like huge gay life in New York, and it was a lot of fun, but it also meant that all of a sudden like those phone calls home, like people would ask like, well, what are you doing tonight? And I was like kind of lying by omission a lot. And it created this kind of really deep sense of like shame and anxiety in me. I didn't really know like what to do about it. I didn't take any action to try and solve it. And I certainly didn't address it as a problem. Eventually, that anxiety started to show itself in strange ways. The first thing to go was that I started having a really hard time sleeping. So for me, what that meant was waking up really, really early in the morning, like far too early for it to make sense, like 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. And, I would sit there and I would just, like, my mind would just work and work and work. And all this, like, gay guilt that I had never processed was just, like, coursing, like, through my thoughts. And I was raised religious. I'm, like, having conversations with God, asking, why am I this way? It should all be better, right? Like, I'm here. I'm in the oasis. Like, why am I still dealing with this? Shortly after, like, this sort of sleeplessness, I started losing appetite. This one time I had friends in from out of town. These were friends from home. I said to them, I was like, hey, why don't we get Italian food? That's a big part of being in New York. You guys will love it. So, I took them down 9th Avenue and we stopped at this Italian restaurant that was a favorite of mine at the time. And I ordered a plate that I would ordinarily think I would enjoy. I was so like nervous, like something like just, like every day I was so nervous at this point. Like I had no appetite. After a while, people were like, Joe, why aren't you eating? And I said, oh, I think my like stomach is kind of upset. And they were like, oh, okay. And like, I couldn't really tell, like maybe people were like wondering if something like bigger was happening. This went on for a long time, and I was like sleeping and eating only enough to stay alive. And then one day I had this kind of like really scary thought where I was like, what if like everything that's happening is irreversible? And I was like, can I like be trusted to be alone? Like, will I just like snap one day? All of a sudden I was just checking in with myself to just make sure that I was like holding it together. And then one day, my boyfriend and I, we went to this party down in Chelsea, and I was already like a nervous wreck on the way there because I'm just like a walking panic attack at that point. And we get to the building and we go up, and it's a really beautiful apartment, nice party, and it's on a high floor, it has a wonderful view, and it has a deck. I was like, I have to make it through this party because if I snap during this party, what I could do is like run and jump off this deck. The moment I had that thought, I just had this like visceral flush of fear, and it was, I guess, too much for me, and I ended up fainting in the center of the party and vomiting too. Everything that had been keeping me so tense for months, I think it just like snapped in that moment, and I got lightheaded and I just went down hard. On the way home, like, so my boyfriend's talking to me, and I had kind of said to him like, oh, I'm like not sleeping, or I'm having a hard time, or whatever. But he was like, Joe, what is going on? I had one friend who had ever talked about going to therapy in front of me. So I called him and I just said, hey, like, I think I need to see a counselor or talk something out because like I'm having a really tough time and it's been going on for too long and I'm not sure what the next step is. He actually wasn't seeing a therapist at this time, but he had a friend who was seeing a therapist that he had heard was like helpful. So I went in. I'm sure it's a pretty like standard office, right? Like she had a chair, I was seated on some sort of like couch ottoman thing. She was probably giving me just the simplest like coping mechanisms, like ways to like sort of detach yourself from your thoughts and recognize that you were like going into sort of like a panic mode and to breathe and to move through it. And getting some things off my chest made all the difference. Having these little tools to like stay calm made all the difference. Making a plan of like how to address like what was really bothering me. Like I did end up like restarting conversations about my sexuality in my life with my family. I was talking about it a little bit more openly, making it a point to like talk about it a little bit more openly and not like feel like I was hiding all of that. And I went to like 8 sessions for 8 weeks with this therapist, and at the end of the 8 weeks, I was like doing so much better that I was like, I think I'm okay to just like try this on my own again. And she said okay, and I moved on, and it's been a lot better for me ever since. And it's kind of funny. I turned this corner in thinking about like mental crisis. It's like, you know, if you have some sort of physical ailment or physical crisis, you go to the doctor, you get it treated, and when you're fine again, then you like go on with your life. And I think that's the approach I try and take now, where it's like your thoughts, like you react to your situation and to your circumstance. And if things are really difficult, like you might have like some mental health things to address, and that's totally fine. And I don't think that message gets shared enough with people. When I look back, the thing I'm sad about is that I let it go on for so long. So I would have urged my younger self to like try and take steps sooner and try and like just start talking to people sooner. Don't wait till you're in crisis. Like if something is really troubling you, act fast.